Hello, and welcome to a very special episode of the Showboys podcast. My name is Mike, and as always, at least on Thursdays, I am joined by my good friend Nick, fellow host, co-creator of Showboys, Star Wars savant. How are you today?
I'm doing very well, and I am so happy we're celebrating Star Wars Day early. May the 4th be with you always, even for 5 days before it even happens.
Yeah, so with our normal recording schedule, we just fell in that awkward time where if we record before, we're a couple days early. If we record after, we're a couple days late. So we decided to go early this year. But yes, if you couldn't pick up, the topic for tonight's episode, we are having a Star Wars celebration. Nick has converted me to the dark side or the light side, which I haven't made up my mind yet, but he has converted me into the Star Wars fandom, thanks to the Mandalorian companion series. And he's just a huge fan himself. So this just makes total sense to have.
This was just ever since the Mandalorian, this was just a very long setup that I did not plan to make this happen.
Yes, very much. And if you listen to any of the newscasts, we basically have like a 5-minute block in every newscast reporting solely on Star Wars news. So if you've listened to Showboys, it shouldn't be a surprise that we're having an entire episode dedicated to Star Wars. So with that being said, I got a few things to get into first before our episode starts. We have a really fun episode tonight. We have a whole slew of friends and special guests coming on that if you're a fan of the show, these people will be very familiar to you. And we're just going to gush all about, so much Star Wars love in this episode. But first, speaking of Star Wars, speaking of Showboys, speaking of companion series, we have a new one coming this Sunday, live at 9 p.m. right here on our YouTube, hosted by Nick and his friend Mike, not me. There are more, believe it or not, more than one Mike in the world. And
I only do podcast episodes with Mikes. Only co-hosts can be Mikes.
Yes. Tell us about this companion series, though. What are you guys covering?
Yeah, so we are going to cover the latest Disney Plus series, hot off the tail of Falcon and Winter Soldier and the Falcon and Winter Soldier Showboys companion series, hosted by Mike here and our boy Jordan.
That's right.
Well, we are doing the Bad Batch. Your boy Mikey L and myself will be doing a very long companion series on the Bad Batch because a little bit of news just to let everyone know. On Tuesday, May the 4th, it will premiere with a special 70-minute episode, followed by another episode that Friday. So next week is going to basically kick off a huge Star Wars tidal wave of just new content. And that show is going to run for 14 episodes, and we are going to do 15, with the first one being Sunday, as Mike said, episode 0, a little warm-up episode, just get the pre stuff out of the way, kind of find our footing, and just see where we're going to take this companion series. Very excited for it.
Yeah, I love the companion series concept, and I'm really excited to just get to be a listener to one of our companion series. Not that I don't enjoy podcasting with you, Nick, because I do very much so. But it'll be interesting to sit this one out and just kind of soak it all in from a couple of real big Star Wars nerds. So
I think that's where I was, watching you and Jordan do the Falcon Winter Soldier one. It was nice to sit back and watch, but it really gives you that itch to fire up the next companion series on your own.
Yes, and maybe someday we'll do a non-Disney Plus related companion series.
Very true.
Yes. But speaking of Bad Batch, I decided to bring along a batch of my Funko Pops over here with me tonight.
The Bad Batch of Funko Pops.
Let's take a closer look here. We get that banner out of the way. We got Saw Gerrera back here. We got Bo-Katan here. We got the one and only Darth Maul. And then hiding here, barely on screen, is Gar Saxon. And one of the guys that almost made it up here in the group was Wrecker. I have Wrecker's back there on the shelf.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So I'm excited for the Bad Batch for sure. But yeah, before we, we have some guests coming on here in just a couple minutes, but before they come on, what does Star Wars mean to you, Nick? And like, how has it impacted your life?
I've watched Star Wars since as long back as I can remember. Just in the 90s, I watched a lot of Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, and I basically watched that all the time. And then quickly, I got into Legos, as you can see. It still stays with me as a hobby.
Yeah, here we go. We're going to put that all the way up on the screen so we can show that off.
Yeah, this is just a very small portion and just some of my favorite sets from the Star Wars Lego theme. So obviously you got like the Millennium Falcon, AT-AT Walker, Republic Gunship, Slave One, AT-AT, and Tidarian Shuttle. So
nice, very nice.
Just a small portion. The rest are over there. Can't see them. They're hiding. Not a big enough table. Oh, and then also Yoda here. And then the doll version of Baby Yoda. That is actually my son's. He got that for his birthday for the one and only OG BB-8 Bianca. But I have commandeered it. I commandeer it for show. But
right.
I mean, yeah, Star Wars is a huge part of my life. Always loved the movies. That I'm a prequel child basically, because I mean I watched all the originals growing up, but the prequels were the first ones were new to me. I was probably like 12 years old and those came out in theaters, so that was a huge part of everything. And yeah, I just love the storytelling. I mean, we'll get into it when we talk about what all of our Discord members had to say about it, and they make a lot of great points that I gravitate to. And they're fun movies when you're younger. They're just, it's science fiction. They have a cool aesthetic. There's cool vehicles. There's cool characters. But then as you get older, you kind of really lean into the stories that they're telling and the different themes that they're addressing. And I mean, I continue to this day to just extract different things from all the movies. So,
yeah, I mean, for sure.
Huge part of my life is Star Wars. How about
Very
you?
much so. Well, being
You're fresh.
new, coming like, I mean, hasn't even been a year since I've entered the Star Wars fandom. So
6 months.
Yeah. So I don't know, how I don't know if it's really impacted my life quite yet, but I've had a fun journey catching up because holy cow, there was so much to watch and consume to be completely caught up. But I will say that probably my favorite time period here in the Star Wars timeline here, probably might be an unpopular opinion, but like I've really enjoyed the prequels, like just like the story they were telling and like the like heavy political undertones and obviously Clone Wars is one of my favorite like entries in the universe. Rebels also, like just that time period there, even Rogue One, like just building up to the original trilogy. I don't know why I love that time period so much, but it's so fun for me. The original trilogy obviously is a good set of movies, and it was groundbreaking at the time and changed sci-fi really.
Cinema, whole thing.
So like there's a lot to be said about those three movies, obviously, but and
even going back to like when we did the companion series on The Mandalorian, your perspective is one I greatly appreciate for finding that person who has basically ignored Star Wars his whole life and then just dives into it.
Right. Mel chiming in, the prequels get way more of crap than they deserve, to be honest. And you know what? No argument there.
Speaking of movies everyone hates, but we love.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That was Mick, by the way. If you're listening, that was on my list of movies from Tuesday. We just didn't quite get there. But yeah, I don't know, just a fascinating time period. And honestly, even in the sequel trilogy, there were some like good moments that I really enjoyed. I mean,
Right.
first off, the visual effects are great because they're current movies in the last couple of years, right? But I mean, they had some cool ideas, some cool concepts. Maybe probably could have been executed a little better, but we're not here to hate on Star Wars. We're here to celebrate it.
That's
and
right.
There were some great moments in that sequel trilogy, some cool characters. I like Poe. I like the idea of Finn's character, an ex-stormtrooper turned to the, changing sides there. That's a great idea for a character. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just on top of all of the stuff that we've already had, thanks to Disney Investor Day 2020, like there's so much more coming down the road. That's super exciting. So I don't know. It's just it's a great time to enter this fandom, right?
It's all on Disney Plus.
Bright. Yeah,
they put it all right there for you. They even like line it up in chronological order. If you want to watch everything about Darth Vader, they got a little banner for that. So it is a great time to catch up and just plug yourself in, much like you did. You put a lot of work in there.
Dude, it was a grind, but it was a fun grind.
Yeah.
So yeah, before we bring on our first guests, we did get some, responses to our Answer the Boys question here in Discord, which we do every single week. So make sure you join our Discord first off. And secondly, go into the Answer the Boys channel. Every week we post the topic for the week's show, and we read and talk about your replies and comments. And it's always a fun thing to interact with you guys. And you guys bring up some great points that are really fun to talk about. So this is one of our favorite things to do. But starting off here, we have a couple comments from our good friend Tom from Be Hero Fights. He says, he's probably going to get mad at me for this, but just going to say the fact that you aren't doing this on Thursday, May the 4th, surprises me. Well, you wouldn't be surprised that he is not the only one that thought May 4th was on Thursday when it is actually on Tuesday. So
that would have been too convenient.
Like somebody else texted me. He's like, why are we not doing this on Thursday? Because it's.
I wish it was on Thursday because that would have been perfect timing, but
it would have been
had to choose.
Immaculate timing. Mel chimes in, she's a frequent commenter, especially in Discord. She says, I'm a basic fan and have only seen the movies, though I have a vague knowledge of the animated series and some of the now non-canon extended universe stuff. Favorite character is and always will be Darth Vader, but I do have a soft spot for Obi-Wan. Classic trilogy is the best, but I am a fan of all the movies, and yes, I do mean all. So don't come at me with your The Last Jedi or Last Skywalker hate. Hey, we're not hating today. It's not a today. Celebration. And, just to give Tom some redemption, he said it was a long, stressful night, and he did his counting wrong. But yes, with that being said, who does have a show on May 4th and is doing a Star Wars extravaganza?
What?
Our good friends, Mick and Casey from the scenesnobs.com, Scene Snobs podcast every Tuesday night. Welcome to the show.
Good
guys.
Evening.
There's the guys.
Up,
Mick and Casey, how are you doing?
Welcome.
Doing great.
Look at that. Look at that the Empire Strikes Back poster. Love it.
Oh yeah. One of the best scenes, man.
Yeah.
One of the best movies.
Yes.
Now, Mick, we were Facebook messaging earlier.
No.
I gave you one job for tonight. And
what
you have failed me. You were supposed to come dressed up as Chewie from the picture.
My Chewie days are over.
You're supposed to grow the beard back.
Yeah, come on.
No, there was no beard in the picture. This is a longer beard than I have in that picture. It was just a mustache. I remember that day because that was Halloween. That was our buddy costumes. The only reason I say it's my Chewie days are long over is because I cannot fit in that sweatshirt anymore.
I was going to say because he's taken over as the Han Solo between us. So
quiet down, you.
Wow.
No, it worked. I would have worn it, but then he's dressed as well. He could be Han as a stormtrooper, so that works.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hey,
I was just appreciating that.
Look at that.
Look at
there
that.
he is. Very nice.
Oh yeah.
Already.
I noticed. No,
Stormtrooper Han.
Listen, I have all my stuff here though. Like not all of it, but I have.
Let's see it.
Some of my
there we go.
Stuff.
Okay.
And then back there is, you can see some of the banner. That's all Star Wars stuff up there.
Very nice.
And I have my trilogy, the Holy Trilogy posters out in the hallway.
It's a wonderful thing. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. I guess we'll start off with you guys the same way we started off with Nick, with just a huge generalized question. What does Star Wars mean to you guys, and has it impacted your life in any way? And if so, how? Let's start with you, Mick.
What's Star Wars?
I think there was a character named like Picard or something.
Oh, you shut your mouth. We'll get there. It's funny. We were having this conversation the other day, and I got to think about it more after answering it somewhere else. Star Wars is like, it's just that blanket, that comfortable blanket that has been a part of my life. And Casey had said this and really made me think of it. And listen, out of everybody I've ever met, I have Star Wars tattooed on my arm. Out of anybody I've ever met, Casey's the biggest Star Wars fan I know. So I'm not trying to take anything away from him. I need to say that now. But it is like that, it's like that big comfortable blanket over my life that just has been a part of it. And Casey knows, because like I said it the other day at my wedding, they surprised us with lightsabers, a lightsaber procession.
Oh, nice.
Walked in. My wife's gift to me, which is right up there on top of the shelf, was the Millennium Falcon, the old school Millennium Falcon cool. Kenner piece. Just there's so like it's shown up in my life and shown me comfort. Like it's always on when I need it. That's one thing.
Yeah.
And that's like the only series I know that it's always on when I feel like I really need it. It means so much to me. It's not even my favorite movie or favorite movies, but it's probably the most comforting movies I've ever had in my life, because it's just everything about it is so whimsical and beautiful and wonderful, and every other word I can think of to attach to it. It's not perfect, but it's perfect to its fans, and it's inspiring to its fans. But I, of course, am going on way too long, and I've seen that happen before. And I want Casey to answer this. Right. Like I said, this is your number one fan right here.
For a second there, I wasn't sure if you were talking about Star Wars or describing Casey.
It's synonymous.
It's synonymous. He's that big blanket in your life too.
Yeah.
You can't talk about one without the other. I mean, how many before I let Casey go, I want him to answer a question. Casey, how many times we were roommates at one point, just hanging out as friends? How many conversations about Star Wars? How many times have we just sat back and watched our favorite movies? Like it is. Like
I can tell you, it's pretty consistent. It's always been part of our lives, and that's a big part of Star Wars for me, is the fact that through my friendships, it has built friendships, grown friendships. I've reconnected with old friends. The way I've stayed in touch is time has marched on. We still always have Star Wars. Star Wars is something that we always circle back to. So it's almost like a holiday in a way. It has its own right as a Thanksgiving or as a Christmas. It's that big and means that much to at least, core group of friends of mine that have been with me throughout my life. It's a weird way to use as like a timeline through my life is where I've been at different eras and how Star Wars has affected that or grown friendships. So that's what it's meant for me.
That's awesome.
You two, and I want to ask you guys this. I'm sorry, I know it's not my show, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Oh no!
This is your time slot on our show.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell me, there hasn't been different times in your life as Star Wars fans. Mike, I know you're relatively newer to Star Wars, but like Nick, I'm sure you know this as well. Like throughout your life, Star Wars, you can you can convey to friends who love Star Wars your feelings or your emotions that you're going through in life just by saying, I really want to watch like Empire, or I really want to watch that. Like, they describe what you're going through at the time.
I mean, this is gonna be weird, but like it'll make sense. So Star Wars is like almost, you know how you can associate things with like smells, like memories with different smells or tastes and stuff. It's like a sense. It's like the sixth sense. Because you could watch Empire and all of a sudden you're like, wow, I'm just like remembering this moment I had with like a friend watching it. I remember being a child, you know, in my bedroom watching it, going to sleep, just whatever. Like, it's just, yeah, it's a time capsule.
Yeah,
it
it's
brings
amazing
back memories.
To be able to look and go, oh yeah, during this viewing of Return of the Jedi, now I'm remembering 5 different phases in my life.
Yeah,
in one movie.
Because you don't just watch it like every 10 years. Like, you've watched this movie many times in important times in your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's just the beautiful thing about movies in general. Like, just the whole art form of film. Like, I don't know. They can leave a lasting impact outside of just, oh wow, that was a cool story, or oh wow, that looked really cool. It's the same with music. Like, it captures something, a moment in your life, a moment like you guys are talking about with a group of friends, and it just is that thing that sparks that memory, right? Excuse me. But like, I'm learning that as a dad now with my oldest daughter is 6, and like, she loves watching movies. She loves going to the theater and stuff. And like, just the like bonding moments we've had watching like some of her favorite kids movies, even, like, I don't know. It's just while I'm saying all that, because while I haven't been a fan of Star Wars for as long as you guys, like, I totally understand what you're talking about. Just from like different movies. So like, I can totally relate with what you guys are going with here, for sure.
That's the beauty of Star Wars, though. I know so many people who didn't come into it until much later in life, and you're welcomed. It doesn't matter. If you get it as soon as you see it. Star Wars fans aren't going to be like, well, you didn't grow up with it. We're going to be like, yeah, welcome to the club, man. Like, you're
yeah, have you seen this, or have you read this?
Yep.
Or yeah,
that's what it becomes.
I probably took a little extra time and was like, all right, Mike, this is the couple options you have to going through all of this. And I tailored it. I thought about it just like as he talked about. I'm like, and there's just moments where I was like, actually, no, stop that, do this, because like, it's just going to work. And that was a lot of fun for me, just, you know, welcoming someone else into it and just like helping them through it, because it is a lot.
No. It's a lot, and it's also very exciting when you get to do that. That was always one of my favorite things to do, was actually get to meet people and be like, oh, you've never seen Star Wars? All right.
Follow me, friend.
Yeah, please join me for this day.
I'll never forget in high school, we loved it. One of the co-hosts on the show, Lenny, on BTB podcast, Lenny and I, we were Star Wars geeks. We got beat up for it. And there was one guy we were friends with who had never seen them. And all through high school, I even knew the kid, like in grammar school, like, he would just rip us apart. Like, why do you like that stuff with the space wizards and blah, 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 and, the light sticks? Like, you just don't get it, man. And he finally watched them after we graduated high school. And, like, he was just all over the place because he just wanted to, like, completely engross himself in everything Star Wars. And we're like, see? Like, you've been picking on us for like 6 years.
Yeah, and it is fascinating because the cliques kind of started to die off, at least towards my end of high school. We didn't have as many cliques. Everyone got along with everybody. And Star Wars was synonymous with everyone getting along. And there was no more of the super nerd effect and all of that. There was an entire cultural phenomenon shift through the storytelling. And every time a new series has come out, there has been something that has changed. And it's fun to see. It's fun to see a lot of growth.
I mean, just the fact that you're describing it as space wizards, like, that sounds cool to me. I'm that kind of nerd. You just said space wizards and you're trying to dog it. That just gives it a thumbs up for me.
And light swords. Let's
light swords.
Yeah. So I'm gonna make you guys pick your favorite Star Wars child here. Like, what's your favorite entry in the Star Wars universe? Let's start with you, Case.
Well, for me, I really go back and forth on this. It's 100% a mood thing. So whenever I get this question, I really like right now, Rogue One, I think is so phenomenally good overall as a movie
choice.
and the story that's told. I'm like, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
But you don't have that movie without episode 4. So I go back to my favorite is episode 4. That's my baby.
Yeah.
I mean, Empire's always going to be my favorite. Empire will never change. That movie is just, everything about it is fantastic. It's not even perfect. It's just fantastic. Just drama, everything around it. You have a love story. You have father versus son. You have the mentor and Yoda being introduced and the training process. You have Lando. I mean, come on. It's Lando, people.
Bespin is awesome. First time you get to see another world like that.
Oh, so as far as the movies go, the Holy Trilogy will always be my favorite, and Empire will always be my number 1.
Nice. What do you think about what the Mandalorian has kind of done to maybe revive maybe some of the older fans like passion and love for Star Wars that may have been lost upon the sequel trilogies?
If I could take this one for a sec,
Sure.
I would say true fans, even if you didn't like the new trilogy, they were never lost on Star Wars. So the Mandalorian coming back was just like, hey, it's a return to familiar and it feels good. But if anybody, it was the haters that was like, oh, it's Star Wars again. It's like, it's always been Star Wars. Star Wars is for kids.
Yeah.
You just forget, like, it's always been for kids. That's why we latched on to the original trilogy. That's why, kids around the time of the prequels love the prequels. That's why kids now love the new trilogy. That's who it's for. And the Mandalorian was clearly made for the old school fans.
Mm-hmm.
We've always loved it.
Yeah, there's a subtlety and simplicity to all of Star Wars because it is a simple hero's journey. It's a simple tale, but it's so exciting, and you love the characters and the world building and what they create and the sort of these different segments of societies that how do they work? How do they function? How is this a republic? They do a fantastic job with a lot of that. But that's the thing is it's a kid's movie. So, at the end of the day, it's still, that's why Rogue One is great because it's way more adult.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing that where it always stays with you and you get something new from the movies all the time, or even if it's not new, you see it in a different way because they're made for kids and they, kids latch onto them, but they're just like embedded with all these bigger elements that just carry on and on and on. And, the prequels got dogged because they were a little heavy on the politics.
Yeah.
But as a kid, I completely glazed past that because it did not register. My mind did not think like that. My mind thought about all the other cool shit that was happening in those movies.
A kid flying a starfighter was awesome.
Yeah.
My 9-year-old
racing.
My 9-year-old's favorite was what do you call it? His Rise of Skywalker. He loves them all. He understands why they're all great in his opinion because as a 9-year-old, he watched all of them. But his favorite was Rise of Skywalker because I guess he just related to the action in it, that moment. Like, listen, I can tell you my favorite scene. I would want to say it's in the original trilogy, but let's face facts. It's one of the lightsaber duels from either Phantom Menace or from Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith, man. Yeah, it's a great lightsaber battle.
I bounced between Phantom Menace and Revenge of the Sith as far as like, where's the score? Where's the lightsaber battle? Like, those are just, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. But Mike, more to that point, with the Mandalorian and what it's done is for me, it kind of filled in some holes and kind of gave us more world building. And I think anytime you're able to do that and do it really well with a bunch of characters that are pretty well known in the universe, that's pretty exciting. So opening that door for the older kids, basically, the kids got their movies. Now we get a cool story. So I think they've done a fantastic job with it, especially with filling a lot of plot holes and, kind of adding a little elements here and there.
And because Casey and I'm not sure if you guys were or not, but like Casey and I are children of Star Wars where Shadows of the Empire was our continuation to Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
And so we learned what the world was like after that war.
Mm-hmm.
But then they took it away, and then we've never seen it. And we've never seen it on screen or anything like that. So finally to see The Mandalorian and see what this world was like after the war and how it's being run and what happened to the stormtroopers and the rest of the Empire officials. I think it's very cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm going to read 2 more of our comments from Discord and see if it sparks any conversation here. So we had Fortress Tiberius, who is our chief moderator of the Discord. He says, one of my favorite scenes / moments is from the final season of Clone Wars.
Spoiler
Spoiler alert. If you haven't seen Clone Wars,
get out. No.
Yeah, you can leave.
Watch
You're not
please.
welcome here.
Not welcome.
He says, his favorite scenes is from the final season of Clone Wars when Ahsoka walks in to meet Rex and her clone unit, and they had all painted their helmets in honor of her. Brought a tear to my eye. Here's to the 332nd. That was a great scene, and it was pretty touching. Like I said before you guys jumped on, the Clone Wars and Rebels probably are 2 of my favorite pieces of Star Wars. But like I really like that prequel era, like all the way up to Rogue One. Like just that time period in Star Wars is really fascinating to me.
The birth of the rebellion.
Yeah, the birth of the rebellion, that whole time right there with Rebels was fantastic.
Yeah.
I love the way they portray it. And Ahsoka, all of her scenes from Clone Wars, especially when she turns away and she, her slow descent from, well, that's what's going to happen when, your master is Darth Vader. You're going to have some issues with staying committed. Ruling
really
your emotions.
find your place.
The funny thing is, though, about like how you guys were saying that Star Wars are for kids, right? They're kids' movies, but like these 2 animated series, especially towards the end of Clone Wars, Clone Wars started out pretty childish. That sounds like I'm throwing shade at it, but it was much more childish at the start. But towards the end of Clone Wars, it was like heavy, like real serious, like. I felt geared towards the adult fans.
Season 6 was super kind of like philosophical. There's really deep stuff and everything with like the father, the daughter, the son, and that whole element that Filoni has just kind of ran with. That's nuts. That's great.
And even Rebels, like I think Rebels is more geared towards children than adults, but it's still like teeters that walks that line, right?
Yeah, that first season I agree was much more, but then once you have Ahsoka face Vader, I don't know, that didn't feel very kiddie. They had some heavy moments there.
That was so good. So and Nick's when Nick was talking about his like tailored order for me of watching Star Wars, so like I watched season 1 of Mandalorian, but wasn't like super into it. And then we did the companion series for season 2, and that kind of like hooked me. And it was when Ahsoka appeared in season 2, I started watching Rebels, based upon, Nick being like, hey, she appears in this show. So I was like, all right, I'll check this out. And I started watching it and made it up to that point. Like that face off with Darth Vader, and then she like cracks the helmet and she sees it's Anakin, and that was the big reveal. And I was texting Nick, and I know that Anakin is Darth Vader, right? I'm not that, like, I don't live under a rock. But I was texting Nick as I was watching it. I was like, this would have been way cooler if I had seen the prequels and Clone Wars before this. So he's like, yeah, you should probably stop and go back and watch all that. So
I was like, do not finish the rest of Rebels. Do not. Go back now. It's going to be a long trip because there's a lot of prequel stuff with Clone Wars, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see, too, with the Ahsoka series coming out. Like we know how she feels about everything that happened, but like how she's dealing with it even after the war is over. Like because she still is in hiding. She's still not in hiding, but she still is, like, she's completely cut herself off like most Jedi do. But to find out, like, there's more Skywalkers out there. There's, not just finding out, but like they were the forefront. They're running things.
Yeah.
And she's a Jedi that's turned against the Jedi Order. I really can't wait to see that element of her show.
Yeah, she really does that gray part well, and I hope they keep doing that. One of my favorite characters from one of my favorite games ever, Star Wars related, was Knights of the Old Republic, and invested hundreds of hours in that. And there was a gray Jedi named Jolie Bindo, and he just was a grumpy old man who wanted to be left alone and was trying to right the wrongs and defend the Forest of Kashyyyk. I was like, yeah, sounds like a great gig. That's awesome. If I could do that, that would be my ideal job in Star Wars.
Aren't they remaking Knights of the Old Republic, Nick? Or a sequel or reboot or something?
It's a little messy, exactly. Like there's rumors, but the art and like the images doesn't match up with the name. I think it would have to be a new game.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, to talk about Ahsoka's series, I'm super excited about that, especially being such a fan of Rebels. Like there's, of course, just rumors all over the place about all this stuff, but all the signs seem to be pointing to basically Ahsoka being a sequel, a live action sequel to Rebels, right? Yeah. Ahsoka and hopefully Sabine like going and trying to find Ezra.
Oh man,
live action Sabine's gonna be sweet.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
I'm so excited for that series. But yeah, so I guess while we're on Star Wars news and what we're excited about, are there any other future Star Wars projects? Disney Investor Day 2020 had like 1,000 Star Wars announcements. There's got to be something you guys are excited about. So yeah, Mick, you got anything aside from Ahsoka?
Right now, well, I don't know if you could tell, and Casey can attest to this because I do it all the time. Like I'm always playing with my beard. My favorite character, hands down, in Star Wars has always been Obi-Wan.
Yes.
I loved Alec Guinness's Obi-Wan. When you're a kid, it's Han Solo because Han Solo and Luke Skywalker are the best. But and I love all of the characters, but Obi-Wan stands out to me, especially because of Ewan McGregor's performance.
Meme Lord.
What was that?
Meme Lord.
Yes, the meme lord himself.
He is.
Oh, hello there.
Exactly.
So for me, that is the thing. That is the show, and I'm so glad it's a show, especially after seeing what they did with Falcon and Winter Soldier. Yeah. I cannot wait for it. But I'm ready for all of it. Bad Batch comes out next week. Can't wait. There's so much I can't wait for. But Obi-Wan's probably my top right now.
How about you, Casey?
Rogue Squadron. I always loved the ships. I was always a fan of the space battles. We talked about what our favorite scenes are. Mine was always the space battle in Return of the Jedi when they're up fighting the busted up Death Star 2. That's one of the best. That you just see these massive number of ships because the first space battle's cool, and then in Empire they're just running, so you get to see how neat the Millennium Falcon is. Yeah. And how menacing, the Imperial Star Destroyers are. But yeah, once you actually get into number 3 or number 6 with Jedi, I mean, I just love the space battles, the B-Wings, getting to see X-Wings just all over the place. So that was, I'm stoked for Rogue Squadron. That's going to be great. But yeah, I mean, Bad Batch is going to be cool.
That's a good pick. I mean, and plus how they've teased that a little bit in Mandalorian, they're setting that up really well because they do just enough of it where you're like, yes, but it's like, I need that Rogue One end space battle in my life.
Yes, absolutely. It's so good.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened there. I clicked on a banner and all of a sudden I disappeared.
You have a new special power.
Yeah. I got to watch this mouse apparently.
And circling back to something Mick said about his 9-year-old loving The Rise of Skywalker, and just comparing it to everything else that came out at that time. I know Endgame and all that stuff was near and dear to that, but as a kid, right, as a 9-year-old, that movie comes out. Think about how big that movie is, and everything they do in that movie is really crazy, and it's huge comparative to everything else that was in cinema at the time. So if you like Star Wars as a kid and that movie comes out, it's kind of a no-brainer to be one of your favorite ones. And it has a huge ending space battle for what it's worth.
Huge ending space battles win every time.
Yep.
Every time. Yeah, no, I get it. I get it on all generations, and I'm always happy just to hear people love Star Wars. So I don't care which one is their favorite.
Nice. Yeah. We have one more Discord comment, but real quick before we read it, Casey, what's your favorite ship?
Favorite ship is definitely B-Wing.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
The B-Wing was my favorite. I mean, the fact that you had lasers and ion cannons going at the same time with a mega load and cool S-foils, anything that just moved, yeah, right? And it's got the little circle so you can actually spin, but you're fine in there. Oh, it was fantastic.
Yes. You got
Cool
one,
cockpit.
Mick?
I mean, it's the Falcon. It's always going to be the Falcon. But whereas Casey is, he was Air Force. He understands. He was, he worked on this stuff, and I get that.
Well, we don't actually have X-wings, buddy.
No. You understand you understand aircrafts. So, like, I see why you pick it over functionality and like how the type of. For me, it's the whimsical nature of what the Falcon was.
Yeah, and Mick just likes girls.
No, valid. Yeah, he likes chicks. I studied way too many ship schematics. It was terrible. It was
Yes. All right, on to our Discord comment from you love her, Mel. Also, the two best lightsaber battles in any of the movies are Anakin versus Obi-Wan in Revenge of the Sith and Luke versus Kylo Ren in The Last Jedi.
Ooh. Okay.
And then she says, ugh, I need to watch Clone Wars. I keep putting it off. Yes, you do.
Yeah, you do.
Wait, she says the two best are those two?
Yeah.
According to her, yes.
I hate to say her opinion is wrong.
I mean, Yoda and Dooku was pretty strong.
Yeah,
dude, just seeing Yoda flip around while
one.
battling like a 95-year-old man.
Yeah.
Just like
Yoda and Dooku.
And whatever year that was, 2003 or 4, like just seeing Yoda, 2002, seeing Yoda just like snap out of, it's just.
Reach into your memory bank and just like shove Jar Jar aside and shove all the giant fish aside and all that other stuff. And remember what Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan and Darth Maul was.
Yes, no, that's probably the best. But also,
good Lord, that score
could be one of my biggest gripes with Star Wars 2.
Let's hear it.
I mean, Maul literally gets chopped in half and then like doesn't die. I love Maul. He's right here with me. He's one of my favorite Star Wars characters. I think he left us too soon, but thankfully he was brought back in the animation. But like chopped in half.
Sith do a lot of crazy
Space
shit.
Wizards. That's true. The only way I could make it work in my brain was, well, it's a laser, so he like basically cauterized his torso. So I guess the fall didn't kill him.
Yeah, those wacky Sith and all the things they study on Korriban, you can learn a lot.
Yeah, he just went splat on the bottom of that thing and just stuck.
Just sealed it up real good.
Perfect landing.
Landed that one perfect. I'll be back.
We gotta get on with the show though, guys. Thank you so much for coming on. This was a blast. We love you.
Thanks
we love
for having you guys.
We love
you guys too. This is awesome.
If we could plug real quick.
Please plug away.
On May 4th, we're doing our special Star Wars episode. We invite you guys too if you want to. We're gonna play a game called Stump Casey with Star Wars trivia. So everybody gets one question that wants to be a part of it. You can do it in the comments, or we're inviting some people on to just ask a quick question and try and stump Casey with a Star Wars question. But we have a very special interview that night by an unsung hero character from Tatooine. So just wait. You guys will be very impressed.
Snap.
This is great.
I would like to throw this out there. I would love to see a Star Wars trivia show between Nick and Casey.
Ooh.
That would be so fun.
That could be fun. I'm
start
seeing your Legos back there, and they are pretty awesome.
Thank you.
That's pretty impressive.
Yes. We have a couple more guests jumping on, though, so unfortunately, we got to let you guys go. But thank you again so much. This was a blast.
Appreciate it.
We love
Thank you all so much.
Thank you, guys.
Go Star Wars. May the
Have
Force
a good
be with
one,
you.
guys.
May the Fourth be with you.
Man, I love those guys.
Hey, watch their show, everyone. It's great. Dude. All their shows. I mean, there's a lot over there, but sift through it.
It really is. But they, those two specifically, every Tuesday they have the Scene Snobs podcast, and then every Wednesday, like you heard Mick mention, they have the Behind the Box podcast. Mick is a part of, Casey is usually a part of, and then they have a couple other really awesome hosts on that show, and they always talk about really fun, entertaining things. And dang it, I forgot to mention to him how the prequels were on my list of movies from movies that I love that most people hate.
They've had to hear it by now. You've said it twice.
That's twice. But anyways, we have 2 more fun guests coming on and joining us, and they are, you know them, you love them, Mr. Tom
That's
from
the guy.
Hero Fights. How are you doing, buddy? And then we also have Mel, who you've heard us talk about a ton on the show, and if you're in Discord, you've heard or read, I guess you probably can't, maybe you heard a voice in your head as you read her comments. But yes, a very active member of our community and a friend of show now. Welcome, Mel.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Fantastic.
All right. So, guys, this is our Star Wars cosplay / art panel. Mel is what is the technical term for cosplayer, or is that it?
Cosplayer. Yeah, I'm a cosplayer. I do cosplay. Nerd also.
Very nice. So you do the cosplay side, but you are also a photographer, yes, and do a lot of photo editing?
Yes.
Okay, so you come at it from both ends of the camera.
I do, yeah. I prefer to take pictures rather than be photographed, which is weird for a cosplayer. I don't have a lot of pictures of my own cosplays, but I have dozens of pictures of all my friends' cosplays.
Very nice. And recently, you, I'm assuming maybe it was you that did the shoot with the Be Hero guys?
Yep, that was me.
Okay, good, because I did not know, and that would have been really awkward if it wasn't you.
She just has pictures of Tom laying around.
Yeah, you know.
I mean,
who doesn't? All right.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, and then of course, you know Tom. He's been on the show a handful of times. Really good friend of show, resident of our Discord, the Be Hero guys. They have their own little channel subsection. So if you're a part of the Discord, you've seen him throwing comments around. But yeah, Tom, how are you? Welcome back, sir.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here. Yeah, you know, things are good. It's been a hectic week.
Oh yeah. I agree.
Yeah, I feel you on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what do you say we unwind a little bit, talk about some fun stuff, and we'll start off with you guys just the same way we started off with Nick, same way we started off with the Scene Snob guys. Let's start with Mel. What does Star Wars mean to you, and how has it impacted your life, if it has at all?
I would definitely say it's had a pretty big impact on my life. I was about 10 years old when they decided to re-release the original trilogy in theaters.
Okay.
Like a couple years before the prequel trilogy even came out.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother was already a Star Wars fan at that point. She'd watched it back in the 70s and early 80s. So she was really excited to take her daughters to go and see it. And watching those movies on the big screen was phenomenal. It was amazing, kind of blew my tiny little child mind. I demanded a Darth Vader costume for Halloween that year.
Nice.
I remember being very mad at my dad because he was supposed to get me a lightsaber and he got me a blue one, and that was wrong. But
man.
now I have 5 red lightsabers, so I think I've made up for it.
Nice.
I don't know, it's kind of been nonstop since then. I'm horrible and still haven't watched any of the animated series, but I will.
It's all right. Well, this is a celebration. There will be no hatred or shaming, though it's very tempting because the animated stuff is fabulous. So as soon as you're able to, definitely check those out. They're so good. They're so fun.
One of my best friends has a daughter named Ahsoka, so I get a lot of grief about it, as you can imagine.
Very nice. Yeah, what about you, Tom?
Oh man, Star Wars definitely has a special place in my heart. it being a PG franchise for the most part, at least the original trilogy and the prequels up until the third one, it was one of the few series I was allowed to watch growing up, and I've talked about that many times. But there's a lot of reasons why I like Star Wars. The aesthetics, the universe building, being able to go to these awe-inspiring places. The imagination behind it is just incredible. But also beyond that, like, I think the original trilogy, I mean, it can be broken down to all of it, but the original trilogy really is kind of the perfect representation of the hero's journey. That's something I even studied in college. The hero's call, everything that goes into it. If you've looked into that at all, like, Star Wars really is patterned after that, and draws a lot from like the Arthurian legends as well. So I really like it. It's definitely in some of the writing that I've done, it's been a big inspiration for that. And it's, obviously a big inspiration. The hero's journey and Star Wars being a big part of that influence for me is a big inspiration for Be Hero in general, right? Just everyone finding that hero within. So it's, I mean, I love Star Wars. I know a lot of people might be surprised to hear that because I have a lot of negative to say a lot of times. I'm very critical of it. Not really negative, but I'm very critical of it.
Because you care.
It's because I love it so much,
Right.
Yeah, for sure. So go ahead, Nick. I don't want to.
I was going to say, like, since you are a writer and, like, you pay attention to that kind of stuff, like, do you gravitate toward, the way George wrote the originals to be, very literal, very, short, not a lot of complicated dialogue. Like, that's why some people think it can be corny, but it's also part of the art of how it was written. Like, it was meant to be very direct, literal, in sense.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know, I feel like that art has kind of been lost in film a lot these days. Everything has to be very overcomplicated. I mean, it's very straightforward, and so much that, I was, I think, 5 when I first saw A New Hope, and I could follow it, right? It's very simple. It's something that people of all ages can draw inspiration from. The characters are very relatable. It's a lot of it is a lot more black and white, I guess. So you don't have as much gray areas, and there are a lot of wonderful films and directors that I guess add depth to characters, which I think there's a lot of good things that have come from that. But I don't know, there's just something. There's a classic feel,
Yeah. There's beauty in simplicity. Like, you don't have to have the most complicated story that like breaks your brain to be a good movie, and a fun and entertaining, engaging story. And you're right. I think that is something that's kind of lost today.
Even though it's direct and, more simple, it still has a lot of double and even triple meaning. Because, like, you go back and watch them as you're older, you hear a line, you're like, oh, that is actually what he might have meant. Like, especially like Obi-Wan, like Yoda, all those different dialogue scenes. They're very deep, even though the writing is very plain.
That's what I was about to say. It's simple but deep.
Yeah.
But Mel, I wanted to ask. You said you went and saw the original trilogy re-released in theaters when you were like 10 or something.
Yep.
My oldest daughter is 6. My youngest is 3. And one morning, like really early in the morning, probably like 3 or 4 in the morning, I woke up with like a migraine and like went downstairs, got a bag of ice, sat on the couch and was watching one of the original trilogies. I forget which movie it was exactly. But like I ended up falling asleep, woke back up, turned it back on, and then like my daughters came downstairs and they were just watching it with me, and they were like super into it, like loved it. But like what age do you think I could like actually show them these movies without it like, one, like freaking them out with like, some of the alien creatures or whatever, but 2, like that they would actually maybe like be able to follow along with what's actually happening?
I don't know. I guess honestly it would depend a lot on your daughters. I had seen them, before I saw them in theaters, but
Okay.
I don't know if I ever saw the whole movie or really paid attention to the story before then. So.
Okay, and then Tom, you
like-
said you were like 5 when you saw the first one.
Yeah.
And you just
ate
followed
it up.
right along. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have kids myself, but I have an 8-year-old niece and a 10-year-old nephew who nephew's obsessed with Star Wars. The niece really likes Rey and Leia and could really care less about anything else.
Nice.
But I mean, they grew up with me as their aunt, so they've basically been watching Star Wars and they could open their eyes.
Yeah. I've been thinking about having them watch Resistance, one of the animated shows, which is definitely the most childish out of the animated series. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to get to experience that as a father. Like I was saying with Mick and Casey, like getting to watch the movies I get to watch with them now and like having that bonding time, but then to like take it up a level and get to watch movies that like I love and get to like introduce that to them, you know. I don't know. I'm excited to be able to do that with Star Wars. Have you shown your kids Star Wars, Tom?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've never really held back with movies with my kids. So, you know, I think my oldest was like maybe 1 when we went and saw The Force Awakens in theaters. So like my kids are just they know how to sit through a movie.
Right.
But I will say I was kind of surprised. I've watched all of them with them, and the ones that they enjoyed the most, the top 3 that they actually sat through the easiest, would have been Return of the Jedi, The Phantom Menace, and then A New Hope. So 2 of the original trilogy, one of the prequels, were for some reason the easiest for them to sit through. So
nice. Good to know. Real quick, I'm talking like just a quick character name because I want to move on to the cosplay and the art part of this. So we're going to throw that stuff up on the screen and kind of talk about all that stuff. But Mel, favorite Star Wars character?
Darth Vader.
Tom.
Hands down. Darth Vader.
Oh, no, it's okay. Darth Maul. Okay, so we got a couple Darth fans here. Yeah, so why don't you go ahead and explain yourselves, Mel? Let's go with you first.
I'm a Sith. Look at my picture.
That is true. Here we go. Front and center. Look at that.
I decided to put, this is one of the few pictures I have of my costume. Actually pretend fighting a friend of mine who is dressed as Anakin in that particular picture.
Knowing that you're a Sith, is there like a particular era of Sith that you draw inspiration from? Because obviously, like the Old Republic has a lot of Sith, different types of Sith, right? Or do you kind of just gravitate toward the more traditional movie portrayed Sith?
Being that I'm a horrible fan and have only seen the movies and played a couple games, I'm not as familiar with the different eras. So yeah.
You're just a Sith.
I'm a Sith.
I should be.
Just a Sith. I kill Jedi. It's my job.
All right.
And some Mandos.
What makes you like Darth Maul so much, Tom?
Dude, he's a menace. He is first of all, he looks amazing. He looks awesome. And menace, right? I don't know. Out of all the Sith that we've seen fight, he by far fights the best. Like his choreography, his move. I mean, he is an actual martial artist. He's a very talented physical actor. What he did with the staff saber. First of all, the first time we've seen anything outside of just a regular lightsaber, and then he comes out with that staff, just incredible. Blew my probably 8 or 9-year-old mind out of the water when I saw that. And like I don't know, just because the original trilogy, the best lightsaber scene we get is in Return of the Jedi between Luke and Darth Vader. Very passionate, very, very good fight scene. But one Sith taking on 2 like incredibly talented Jedi Knight, that was just the most amazing moment.
for
The,
sure.
the pacing back and forth like an angry dog. I just that scene.
Oh, yeah. He's just so
Obi-Wan.
much more fierce. Like even like Count Dooku, he didn't have that same gravitas to him, you know.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't think outside of Darth Vader, I don't think any other Star Wars villain really has.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
Maul in the animated shows is so good. So good. Such a good character. And I was so excited to see him pop up at the end of Solo.
Yeah.
Right? He popped up there man. I hope that they continue down that road. He's serious. He's probably my favorite character too, Tom.
Yeah.
That's the only Star Wars movie I haven't seen.
It's good. It's one of the best of the newer ones.
Yeah. I'd say my order of movies probably would be Rogue One and then probably Solo second.
It's fair.
But yeah, anyways, enough about that. I want to get to this cosplay and art stuff because first off, the cosplay pictures are super cool. I'm going to add that to the stream now. There's our boy, Mr. Tom. Yeah, I just love this. Cosplay is such a cool thing in general. But Mel, why don't you kind of like talk about what got you into cosplay and like that's probably my favorite one.
I love it. Oh, there was uncanny.
Yes.
I'm gonna start calling you Owen now.
Do it. I'm okay with
Owen.
That. So honestly, what got me really into cosplay, like I was kind of a fan of it before, but in 2013, Utah got our first actual convention. Formerly called Salt Lake Comic Con. Now it is FanX because reasons. Yes. There's a lot of bad blood there. And like going the first year, I wasn't sure what to expect. None of us really were. There weren't a lot of really big guests. I think the only person I met was Nicholas Brendan from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But he, like, seeing all the cosplayers was amazing. I was taking pictures of everybody. I'm like, okay, I want to do that. And then it wasn't the next one, but the one after that, the following fall, they got a guest from Doctor Who, whom I absolutely adore, John Barrowman. And this was also the year after the 50th special, the 50th anniversary special of Doctor Who had aired. So I decided to make my first cosplay, which was Osgood.
Very cool.
And is still one that I wear frequently and just kind of exploded from there. I did Vanellope from Wreck-It Ralph. I did, I'm most well known locally for my Fiona from Shrek. Specifically the fourth movie, because if I'm going to be a princess, I'm going to have an axe. And then actually that wonderful, gorgeous Viking right there.
I love the yellow lightsaber in the Viking, like vibro braid or whatever you want to call it. This is just too cool.
Now, is that so like actually something from Star Wars?
No, but that is an actual Viking, and if she wants to be a Jedi Viking, she's gonna be one.
Dude, that's so dope.
It's so cool.
That axe is so cool looking. Like
that was actually custom made by her husband.
That is awesome.
That is the mother of Ahsoka that I mentioned earlier, by the way.
Oh, very nice.
Even cooler.
Dude, they need to introduce axe lightsabers. Like
yes,
Filoni,
I'm so in.
Favreau.
I
know you're listening.
I
know you're listening. Season 3, Mandalorian. Let's go.
Yeah, anyway, back to my rambling story. I do that. I apologize. That's why I don't have my own podcast. So she, and I don't think I've got a picture of him in here. No, I do. If they get to the pictures of me, he's the one that I'm force choking. But my friend Borg, yes, that is actually his name. He invited me to their practice. They were getting ready to do a lightsaber battle flash mob for the convention. Actually,
there's Borg.
Nope, that's actually the wrong one. I apologize. His name is Miles. He's a sweetheart. It's the one on the bottom next to the.
Here we are.
Yeah, that is Borg. But
Nice.
they were doing a flash mob. This was for the premiere of Rogue One. I threw together a really, really quick basic Sith outfit. Had gotten my first lightsaber like 3 months before that, which I still own and is still one of my favorites. And the rest is history. The next time they did a fight, I'm like, okay, I want to fight. That guy right there keeps trying to kill me every time that we fight. Because he's rude.
He's your arch nemesis. Very nice.
Yeah, I know why.
At this point, basically, he's a jerk.
So, Tom, how did you get suckered into a cosplay shoot?
the one and only cosplay thing I've ever done.
Because Brian can talk anyone into anything.
Yeah.
Look how serious you look right here. You are.
Yes.
I mean, so cosplay is something I always wanted to get into. I never thought about like getting into it for Star Wars. Actually, something that I've been trying to do is create a build for Destiny armor.
Ooh,
nice.
For one of my Destiny characters.
That would be
But
awesome.
anyways, how this happened, Brian and I have been wanting to introduce cosplay and have it be kind of part of the Be Hero brand for quite some time. And so, Brian and Mel go way back. And Mel's, clearly connected with a lot of great cosplayers. So we put on this shoot. We offered everyone some free Be Hero merchandise. They even did some pictures in our merchandise as well. So, we had ulterior motives. But while we were there, one of the guys has that Jedi cloak or whatever. So yep. Brian thought he was cute. And since he and everyone seems to think that I hate Star Wars, he was like, you're putting this on, you're doing pictures. And I was like, the one where I'm like crouching down, touching the ground, that was the only one that I was like, I think that'd be really cool to see, like, because Jedi, I feel like they're kind of in tune with nature, the Force. Mm-hmm. I thought it'd be really cool to have something like that in like a forest setting. So I squatted down and did that, and then that was the only one I did. Otherwise, they were like, just fold your hands.
Yeah. So, fun fact: that robe is actually owned. I can't talk right now. I'm sorry. The owner of that robe is the owner of the photography studio that you were in.
Oh, fancy.
His name is Steve. He is also one of my best friends.
Shout out, Steve. I think my favorite picture of you, Tom, is that one with the nice glowing eyes, the wonderful editing job there. Unless you have some secretly orange eyes. I don't know. Maybe
it's part of my mutant power.
Tom was activated.
Yes.
I think it's super cool. I love hearing about, the cosplay stuff, and it looks like you got a good thing going for you over there, Mel. And Tom, I don't care what they say. You're a handsome lad in that robe.
You're too kind.
But we also, that one's pretty. That's a pretty great picture.
Me, my little Ewok backpack.
Yes, there it is. Better shot of the Ewok. But we also had some art submissions from the one and only OG BB8 Bianca from our Discord, who is also, one of the artists for the podcast. Nick and his lovely wife Erin do a lot of our art as well, but Bianca here has been helping out with that too, and she sent in some of her Star Wars related art, and it is pretty good. Bianca,
I want that on my wall.
She's super talented, and she might be able to make that happen. Speaking of on at least my wall, this one is on my wall right there, if I can point. So
it's so hard to point with the cameras, man. I'm not even, like, that is not a lie. She does some tremendous work for sure. She's also responsible for the lovely pixel avatars in our Discord. If you are in our Discord and see the video game like versions of Nick and myself and some of the other co-hosts of Showboys shows, that's the lovely artwork of Bianca. But yeah, I don't know. I just love being able to see fans of really anything be able to, have their creative outlets to just show off their passion for their fandom. And in this aspect, these drawings are beautiful. The cosplay costumes that you put together, Mel, and that we see from other people, and the pictures, they're gorgeous. And it's just so cool to see people like literally wearing, their emotions, their fandom out for everyone to see on display. But yeah, before we have to kick you guys out, because we do have 2 more special guests coming up in just a few minutes, let's get back to some more Star Wars related questions here. And I wanted to ask, so we've asked movie, we've asked character, we've briefly talked about scenes, but like what's one of your favorite moments across the Star Wars universe? Let's start with you, Tom. Do you have a particular one in mind, maybe?
I mean, it probably would be the final fight with Luke and Darth Vader, where he's towing that line. He just found out who his sister is. His father just found out who his sister is. He's lost everything, absolutely everything, right? He has nothing. All of his mentors have died. His aunt and uncle has died. His father is his enemy. His father cut off his hand. He just found out he has a sister. He doesn't have much, and now he has to fight basically like some of the only blood that he has to protect the universe, but his sister, and he's also trying to save his father from the dark side. Like, I don't know, everything
Right.
about that is just it's so poetic.
A lot going on.
Yeah, and it's just so emotionally driven. I still watch that scene, even though it's not like incredible choreography. It's still, I think, my all-time favorite lightsaber battle.
Yeah.
Just with the emotion and everything that's going on there, and even his sacrifice play at the end.
Right.
It's a very analyzed scene too, because even years later, like people interpret that scene differently over time. Just how much is kind of going on there.
Yeah,
It's a wonderful scene.
I love the Obi-Wan has taught you well, as he has the high ground.
Exactly. See?
Yeah. But yeah, what about you, Mel? Do you have a particular moment that sticks out to you?
Oh, there are so many. I already mentioned the Darth Maul pacing back and forth like a bulldog. That just. I think that I'm going to go with 2 moments, but they're kind of parallel, so it works. And that is Darth Vader's reveal at the end of Rogue One. Just the fog, and then the saber turns on, and beautiful. That
Good
was
Sith action. Right
I literally imagined you going like this. Wow.
I
hope that's what you
literally
did.
that.
Okay,
that
good.
was yes. Oh my god! And then the parallel for it, which was beautiful. I don't know, spoilers for anyone who hasn't bothered to watch Mandalorian yet, but come on, guys, get on it.
Yeah.
Very end of the show, Luke Skywalker shows up, and then same thing. The door opens, there's that little bit of fog, and then that green saber.
Yep.
I love both of those moments because of how they made me feel, but then also like the visual similarities but differences between them and father and son. It just
Yeah.
I got chills from you talking
Absolutely.
about it.
I'm getting
Very
chills
much
talking
so.
about it. Oh, I remember watching that. Like, I was at a friend's house watching Mandalorian, and we literally all started screaming when that happened. I don't remember the next few minutes after that.
Nice.
'Cause I
I
was too
blacked
busy
out.
screaming.
I blacked out.
I blacked out.
Very nice. Yeah, those are both great moments for sure. Nick, you have to have one.
pod racing. Just kidding.
I mean, I do like the pod racing, but I mean,
does anybody remember
Anytime
the
Jar
pod
Jar
racing
Binks
game on the
speaks.
64?
yeah, anytime Jar Jar is there. I mean, pod racing is not really a moment. Man, I mean, the last duel in Phantom Menace, like that entire just the music score just takes that to a whole nother stratosphere. But obviously the choreography and all that stuff, and like Mel said, the pacing and just the emotion driven in that, right? Because even Obi-Wan, who is a very even kilter Jedi, right? He's a very by the book Jedi. You see him like snap a little in that, he loses his cool a little bit there. And I mean, that's just something very telling for that character. That's definitely one of my favorites for sure.
Nice. I'll close here with mine, and then we will have to say our goodbyes. But mine is at the very end of Clone Wars, the scene where Ahsoka is standing there in the snow, and she sees, I believe, all of the clone trooper helmets, right? And then she just drops her lightsabers and walks away. So good. Yes, Mel, you need to get on those animated series. Whenever you get the time, you got to bump those up for sure.
You know what? Between you guys and Ahsoka, I will watch it eventually because yes, the 2-year-old is also on my butt about
there you go. But yes, thank you guys so much for coming on and being part of this episode. It was super fun. If you haven't, guys, you've heard us talk about Be Hero Fights a lot. Please check them out. They have a fantastic show, very fun, super entertaining. And they're part of our Discord. So you can converse with Tom himself and even Brian and even Mel. She is one of the most active Discord users we have. And she's always contributing to conversations and starting up great ones of her own. And Mel, do you have anything to plug, like for photography maybe, or I don't know, anything?
Well, if you want to check out any of my pages, it's Melanie H Photography, pretty much across the board. I've got, I think Instagram, it's actually Melanie H Photo, but close enough. Facebook, Instagram, I've got a TikTok, although I think that's MH Photo. I've got a YouTube that's also Melanie H Photography. I don't use them all a lot, but every once in a while you'll see me get bored at work and spend 3 hours doing Photoshop stuff.
Perfect. Well, go check these lovely people out. And thanks again, guys. But we are going to have to kick you out. We shall talk later. Thank you, guys.
Good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. Mike kicked himself out. Man.
I guess I'm still here. I'm the new host.
So, all right, here we go. New co-host. That was planned. Just kicking Mike out. Oh, there he's back.
Man, this mouse is deadly tonight. I don't know what's going on. Man, this show is this has been a really fun show. Like, I'm having a blast.
We're on fire.
But hey, I don't want to make these crazy dudes wait any longer. Joining us now.
There they are.
You love them. Some of our special co-hosts of various Showboys shows. We have Jordan and Chadwick III.
What's going on?
What's up, guys? Thanks for coming on.
From the far reaches of the galaxy, they have arrived.
Yes.
Sounds sexy.
Oh yeah. Where's your belly shirt?
You remember that, huh? Yeah. I was saying I was going to wear a slave Leia outfit onto this.
Hey, I would not oppose to that.
A white belly shirt and turn the air conditioning on down to like 49. One of the two.
Yeah,
that is this segment of the podcast right now.
Hey, we're at prime time. We're at 10:18 p.m. Anything goes now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
USA After Dark.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Chad, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing great, man. Glad to be here. I had to step away from the NFL draft long enough to get down into the basement, but
have the Browns picked yet?
No.
What are we at?
We're at 15 when I walked down here, which was New England, who took Mac Jones.
Oh, wow. He dropped to 15. Hey,
he did.
Your sports boys segment right here. Here you go.
Sports boy.
Coming
this
in.
is like the polar opposite of Star Wars.
Yeah, right. Yeah. The exact opposite that we could find.
Yes. But man, does that feel weird saying have the Browns picked yet? Anyways.
Yeah, right.
You're not a fan of the NFL. You have no idea what I'm talking about. But so, yes, Chad, you know him from our What's Playing series. Once a month, he joins us. We talk about video games. He's also one of the hosts of That Strange podcast, which is a very fun and entertaining and spooky and creepy and strange, I guess, since it's literally in the name.
It's in the name, yeah.
But yes, and Jordan, he's been on many episodes of Showboys. He was our holiday correspondent. And then he became our crypto correspondent. And then he became our Falcon and Winter Soldier correspondent.
And somewhere in there, he's like our assassin on Be Hero fights.
Yes, he is the Winter Soldier we unleash on the Be Hero debate.
Yeah.
What's a ladder 17? I forget what what the activation words are. Anyways, welcome to the show, guys. We're gonna start you guys off the same way we started off everyone else. We'll start with Chad. Please tell us what Star Wars means to you and how it has affected your life. What impact has it had on young Chadwick III?
I mean, it's had a pretty substantial impact. I've been a major Star Wars fan since I was a kid, and I've kind of passed that on to my kids now, which is awesome because they're just as big of fans as I was. And it's cool that they got to see like a new trilogy in the theater and all that stuff, which I got to see with the prequels, obviously, and the special editions way back in the day. Mm-hmm. But I think Star Wars for me just captures my imagination better than anything else that I watch. It's really what it is. It's just a universe that's easily, you can dive into any aspect of it and it's all awesome. You know what I mean? Any story that's told in it. And there's so many different stories. That's the cool thing too. Now the movies, always focus on the Skywalkers seemingly, but I think we're moving out of that. And it makes me happy because there are a lot of good stories that don't involve that family. Yeah. And don't involve really even the Force in any capacity either. It's just an amazing universe. And I absolutely love everything that I've ever touched that has to do with Star Wars.
Now, Chad, I don't think Melanie's talking about you, but she did say nerd. And I'm just going to leave that open to interpretation.
Probably me. Yeah, that's probably me for sure.
No, I think that popped up when we were talking about the draft, which I guess does apply to you. But,
how the times have changed.
Yeah. But yeah, Jordan, same question. How's Star Wars impacted your life? What's it mean to you?
Star Wars has impacted my life almost in every aspect, honestly, from collectibles as a kid through instead of playing G.I. Joes, I play with Star Wars figures. I play guns with my friends out in the yard. We do Star Wars sometimes instead of like Commandos or something like that. But the story itself, I always loved. I didn't realize what it was doing to me early on. It made me love the fantasy genre more so than just sci-fi. Obviously, because it's a sci-fi fantasy. I was much more open to Lord of the Rings when I started learning about the Tolkien series. It's, even though I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the more modern Star Wars stories that they've kind of done on screen, it's always been something I can always fall back into. And if I can't enjoy one part of the universe, there's always tons of other parts of the universe I can enjoy. The same aspect goes to the video games. There's some video games I would never touch, but I'd still play Shadows of the Empire to this day on Nintendo 64. They have some of the best Lego sets. They have,
as you can see, sitting behind Nick.
Right. And, they have some of the best books too. As someone who doesn't like books a whole lot outside of theology books or comic books, Star Wars books pulled me through. With the Phantom Squadron with Wedge Antilles and some of the Rogue Squadron books. Yeah. It's pretty much endless. It's a lot like comics in the aspect where you again can enjoy and not enjoy things at the same time and never have a distaste for it.
Right.
I completely forgot about that. Like my favorite book is a Star Wars book, and it's Darth Plagueis. Just, on a philosophical level, just how it dives into those characters and the Sith. I just love every part of that. Forgot all about that.
It's funny that you brought up video games, though, because I was going to ask you. We're all avid gamers here. Chad does a video game podcast with us, and what is your favorite Star Wars game?
Oh, it would probably have to be Shadows of the Empire, honestly. From Nintendo 64. That's really. That game, aside from only being single player, which I'm a competitive gamer, so it has that aspect, but it was a lot of fun. Like I played through it, I don't know how many times, just to so I could shoot stormtroopers and hear them scream while falling off the cliff. There's hidden wampas in certain places when you play a parallel Hoth storyline. And not to mention the climactic battle in that is a space battle. So you're flying on the Outrider, attacking Prince Shizor's, whatever the hell it is. It's like a satellite base. But there's dynamic battles happening around you. So there's AI TIE fighters, AI X-wing, A-wings, and there's some interceptors, I think, at some points, maybe even TIE bombers, and it's different every time. So
Nice.
Yeah.
it's I don't know if again, this shows how much I played it, but I would always get to that point and replay that just to experience a different dynamic, battle. You almost felt multiplayer because of the AI you're surrounded with.
Nice.
But I also like Jedi Knight Outcast. If you guys ever played that, allowed you
Very
to
cool.
kind of do
Very
a third
I mean,
person.
You literally took both the games out of my mouth. So in the interest of being different,
Yeah.
I do love Jedi Outcast. I think it's fantastic. And if you turn on like Dismemberment, you just really feel like a Jedi. And that should have just been how it was from the beginning. But I'll probably go with the first, The Force Unleashed, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. I love both of them, really. I think it's a cool story. And at the time, it was really, there wasn't like there is now. There's not that many Star Wars games. So I just really liked the story, and I really got engrossed in both of those games. So
is it the Super Saiyan of Star Wars or Jedi's? I mean,
yeah.
Whatever.
Mel
Yeah, and then
chimes in. She says, "I missed the pod racing game on the Nintendo 64."
Oh my goodness!
No one misses pod racing.
No.
So aggravating.
But yeah, go. What were you saying, Chad? You were going to say something else.
I was just going to say, I don't remember what I was going to say. Maybe it was,
sorry.
I also like Jedi Academy too, which is, but I think out of that, like the entire Dark Forces thing, I think Outcast is the best one.
Yeah.
Nice. What about you, Nick?
I think it's Republic Commando, and that was because that came at a time where that everything was super starved of the extra clone action. So like you just had the clones really in like the, two of the prequels. And I just love the life out of the clone armies, the battle droids. So when that game came out and I got to be basically a Republic Commando, and they did the whole, you're basically in like an Iron Man suit, you get the visor, heads up display, and you're just running the whole squad, and you're running through kind of some tertiary side missions parallel to the movies and all that. And it just really kind of stuck with me for like the time. It was just an awesome game for me to play. And then Dark Forces 2, I think, is obviously like the even further back, like stuck in my brain one. So
How many people are screaming, "What about the Old Republic?" right now?
Yeah.
Well, there's probably only 4 of them watching.
Right. There you go.
One's in the pod racing.
Yeah. Yes. But yeah, I have a pretty boring answer because I had only gotten into Star Wars recently, and that would probably be Fallen Order.
Strong
we've
entry.
talked about a lot. It's just
It's
really
not a
cool
bad
game.
pick at all.
I was thinking though, while you guys were talking, wasn't there like a dog fighting like space ship game like back in the 90s on like PC or something called like X-Wing or something like that?
Yes, you're thinking of X-Wing. There was also Rogue Squadron on the GameCube, which was fantastic. Okay. But
yeah,
if
this
you're
was
talking
like
90s.
Like I remember playing it on my uncle's computer when I lived in Florida. Like this was all like around Doom time, long time ago.
In that one, you actually get to fly Skyhopper T-16. In that one, you either fly it through the Tatooine. Like trench or something like that. I don't know if that's what one you're talking about, but I've never died in more game like a part of a game more than that.
Yeah, I actually don't know how I remember that because we moved up to Ohio when I was 10, so I was playing that before I was 10 and like had no idea what Star Wars was really at that moment in time.
Is this Flight Simulator?
Yeah. But yeah, I think sometimes the gaming realm of Star Wars kind of gets overlooked. So I'm glad that kind of popped up because it deserves a little more love and spotlight. But we have a rather huge Discord comment that I saved for you guys because I feel like it'll start quite a few good conversations here. But our friend Trash Can Mike the Jefe de Stonks in the old Discord. He literally wrote a novel. So
It's great.
we're gonna take this in sections. Excuse me as I clear my throat. He says, I know I'm late to the party on this one, so apologies on that, but here are my Star Wars answers. Favorite Star Wars movie or trilogy? Empire Strikes Back, hands down, best action in my opinion of the classic films. Boba Fett, Leia's first Force-sensitive moments, sensing Luke's presence. Big expansion on the Force and what it means to wield the Force. Lando Calrissian, all of Hoth. Just an awesome film, in my opinion, and one that I've watched dozens of times and will watch dozens more. So, what is your favorite trilogy, Jordan?
The original 3. It's a birthplace of what show everything prior and after. I think that particular trilogy again captures what I was talking about with being a sci-fi fantasy as the best culmination of those two things. If I had to pick one movie out of the 3, it would probably be Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
Very cool. What about you, Chad? Same.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, it's the same for me. Original trilogy, and I got the total cop-out answer of Empire Strikes Back, which seems like that's everybody's favorite, but I think it's because it's literally the best one.
Because it's
it is. It introduces Boba Fett, and it's just perfect. Now the other two are also fantastic, but yeah, it's probably always going to be original trilogy for me. Like I kind of at the beginning of the Disney cycle, I was like, oh man, I mean, we might have a chance to possibly, surpass this. And then I think they kind of dropped the ball with the last 2 movies, but Force Awakens just started so good. Like it was very nostalgic watching it,
There were good parts in all of the sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
But they dropped the ball in a lot more areas than there were good parts.
For sure, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited about all of the Disney Plus series.
Yeah, they all look great, man. And if they follow in the path of the Mandalorian, I think they're going to be awesome. So
yeah. So the next part of his comment, light or dark side of the Force was the question posed by Nick, and he says light. When I was younger, I thought the dark side was cool because of the flamboyance and the brute force mentality and all the gadgets. Dark side Force users always have cool weapons and sabers and have tons of raw power, but as I got older, I started to appreciate the subtleties of the Jedi and the emotional power needed to overcome the draw of the more raw and unpredictable dark side of the Force. That's a good answer.
It's a very good answer, yeah.
If you had to choose, Chad, which would you be? A Jedi or a Sith?
So for me, it's Sith. I just lean more to the dark side. I don't really know why. I just think it's
because you're a terrible person.
I might be a terrible human being deep down in my soul.
Wearing a bright red shirt.
I don't know what I'd pick.
I got a stormtrooper on my. And so I don't know. I don't know if it's just their like aesthetics with the everything's blacked out and they got masks and I don't know. They're just cool. Like that's the coolest bad guy in any series. And I just lean more towards them. Not to say that I hate the Jedi. I would think if it was like real life, I'd probably be a Jedi. But as a fan, I lean more towards the dark side. Yes, just my opinion.
I will say of the sequel trilogy, I loved Kylo's his helmet. So cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that character... I mean, a lot of people hated that character for
his
whatever reason.
His aesthetic was really good.
Yes.
But his aesthetic is awesome. And I kind of like in The Force Awakens when he has his like teenage freak out. That to me, like a lot of people hated that, but I was like, man, I loved it because it makes him feel kind of unhinged and you don't know
that energy.
Yeah, he's super powerful and he doesn't care.
It's hilarious. I think you and I are on the same exact page of Star Wars in general, honestly, because Kylo, in my opinion, is the best thing to happen out of the new trilogy, and it's mainly because he has like a dark Prince Valiant idea to him, right?
Yeah,
He's very sensitive looking, but he's full of rage. It's something that they've never done before, right?
Right. Yep.
And so I'm with you 110% on that one.
Even with his name, I like that he's not a Darth. Like, he doesn't have a Darth title. Like, he is Kylo Ren, and that's kind of like that, like you said, that Prince element. Like, he has a noble name of some sort.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I just think that you had Darth Vader, who was probably more powerful, but he was more calm, if that even makes sense. It's just that unhinged feeling that he had, and just you don't know what he's going to do, and he doesn't care what he does, and I agree 100% with Jordan that he's the best to come out of the sequel trilogy by far.
Vader was restrained by his suit, I think, essentially, and
True.
like,
Yeah.
The fact that he had no limbs and barely breathe.
The tragedy of Darth Vader.
Yeah, but then you also get that. You also get the scene at the end of Rogue One where you see, okay, he can still fight. So
he's just basically the suit is like his wheelchair. But yes, Jordan, has Mel tempted you to the dark side? They have cookies.
As long as there's sugar cookies, I'm in. I don't like chocolate.
Wow. So what side would you be on there? Light or dark?
Probably the light.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I am full of rage. I'm a very angry person, but it's I think it. I'd probably be more like a Anakin type character that never goes fully Vader.
Yeah. Very cool.
Kill a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Heard it here first.
Yeah. In case anyone's looking for a babysitter, Jordan's good to go. You just pass the background check. Yeah, I really I loved Anakin's character before he made his like complete turn, especially like how they dove more into it in the Clone Wars. But like, yeah, just I would say my choice probably would be the light side. But Jedi are pretty boring. Like,
you know what I'm saying, man? They are.
And some of them are so like strict that it's like almost just as bad as being on the dark side, right?
Yeah. I think when you look at the two, I probably like the aesthetics better of the Sith. I mean, like you said, they're blacked out and it's red. You kind of have like two aesthetics to them, because the Jedi, even though they're called Jedi Knights, they kind of have almost like a Shaolin monk type of feel to them, right? They're very stoic and they meditate a lot. They're very more spiritual than what the Sith would be. And the Sith, ironically, they're more of like a gentleman's like knight, right? But they're not actually called knights. It's really strange, but I do like the aesthetics and powers of the Sith more. I just truthfully, I'd probably be more on the light side.
Yeah, I would definitely. I would see myself falling more towards the gray area of.
Gray's not an answer.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, Jordan, do Gray's Jedi exist?
Never.
The answer is no there.
No.
I would be more towards the Anakin Ahsoka side, where they're kind of like.
I'm a dark paladin.
In their yeah, exactly. Like in their core, they are like, Jedi, but well, obviously until Anakin makes the turn, but like they question things. They're like, are we like, is this really like the best?
Yeah, which is
way,
good,
right?
Which is a good thing to do.
You got to question things.
Even Dooku technically was questioning things, right? It was Qui-Gon was obviously questioning things. Qui-Gon would have went with Dooku to stop the Empire from rising. So it's okay. Ahsoka's like, I literally have gray lightsabers.
Yeah.
Come on. They exist.
Yes. And Mel says dark side light. Yep.
Dark side light, there you go.
Sounds about right. So the next part of the question, favorite Star Wars character, he says Boba Fett. Always love the cowboy attitude and always deliver attitude. Oh, the always deliver attitude of Boba. The backstory provided in the prequels for Boba and his father Jango. I know he's a clone. Don't at me. Hey, I feel you, bro. That's just the easiest way to describe that relationship. It was pretty cool to see too. Badass armor, badass weapons, just in general, a badass character. Can't argue with that. Boba Fett is a very cool character and was super cool in season 2 of The Mandalorian. Was really excited that we got to see that, and the Slave One and armor, like, and when he
the inside of the ship,
his
right,
the inside of the
gyroscope,
ship,
whatever you want to call it.
When he's out there trying to protect Grogu while he's doing his dumb force thing before he gets kidnapped, and he's just like bashing stormtroopers or First Order, I don't know, whatever they were. Stormtroopers, like good. Helmets with his ridiculous staff, and like it's just
shattering their
so
armor.
Awesome. Like it was so brutal. But Jordan, I know you have a unique favorite character in Star Wars.
Yeah, and I know you guys know it. Wedge Antilles. His character arc is really interesting. Going from just a Red Squad member all the way through to Rogue Leader at the end of Return of the Jedi, which is probably why Return of the Jedi is my favorite one. You get to see this character in the background have this story arc you don't see a whole lot of, and if you know the books afterwards, he goes on to a lot. Becomes like a marshal and everything. It's just just has there's a reason why they use him in the expanded universe a lot, because he was an overlooked character.
Yeah.
So I'm honestly, Dash Rendar is one of my favorites too. So
very nice. I have no idea who that is. You gotta remember, I'm like a baby Star Wars fan. I just started like 6 months ago.
Yeah. So again, I have to backtrack a little bit here because Jordan stole my thunder. He's stolen all of my Shadow of the Empire stuff. I was like, nobody's going to talk about Shadow of the Empire. This is my in. I got it. But
I'll start asking you first, Chad.
Yeah, right. Let me get one of these. So anyway, my favorite character in the movies is Boba Fett. I mean, it's bar none. I don't know if that's necessarily because you just don't see a lot of him, and he's kind of got that mysteriousness to him. But badass ship, badass armor. He's got that like old Wild West bounty hunter vibe to him. Yeah, but I also really like Dash Rendar, and I thought the tie to having like Dash at the Battle of Hoth, but you don't really ever see him. And then I think in the special editions of A New Hope, you actually see the Outrider flying out of Mos Eisley, I believe. So I thought it was super cool. And the Rebels, I can't remember what season of Rebels, but there's actually the same model, which YT 2400.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it either.
I think it's a YT 2400 light freighter. You actually see it in the trailer for one of the seasons. I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to bring Dash back. It wasn't him. It was just the ship, which was kind of a bummer. But yeah, I think he's a cool character. He's kind of like the fill-in Han Solo for that story, because Solo's in Carbonite. But I don't know. I've got like all his action figures. Like probably 2 months ago, I actually found the Outrider Shadow of the Empire Outrider toy that came out in 1996 that I had as a kid, and I had to buy it. It was a little expensive, but I had, kids had to know what the Outrider was because that's my favorite. So
yeah, and the Kenner toy series for Dash Rendar, he didn't actually come with like the actual blaster that Han Solo did, so I had always switched that out for him. He came with like it was like a twin barrel pistol, but they were they were just like they were stacked on each other, not not horizontal.
Right.
And I was like, this isn't the gun he used in the game.
Yeah, there you go.
What is this?
Yeah, I think that the whole Shadow of the Empire thing kind of gets overshadowed a lot, and I thought it was awesome. So, Mike, you don't know what Shadow of the Empire is? Okay, let me briefly break down just real quick. In 1996, it is a multimedia project, I guess would be the best way to put it. And it was made, I think, originally to get hype for the special editions to come out. And then they were probably testing the waters for the prequels around that time too, I would imagine. But it was basically every avenue that a movie would have. So books, toys, video games, comic books, everything but the movie. And it was a story with new characters. And it's got Leia, Lando, and Chewie, I think, hunting down Boba Fett and Han in the Carbonite. There's just it's just a really good Star Wars story, and I kind of feel like it's better than anything that came out past the past the original trilogy, in my opinion. But it's just super cool, and it's actually got a really good audiobook too. I don't know if you guys have ever listened to any of the Star Wars audiobooks, but they're really good because they add in like sound effects and stuff.
They're good.
They're really good.
Wow.
That's how I listen to all the Star Wars books, basically.
For
the
sure.
audio version. One, it's just easier to do, and
Two, he doesn't know how to read. The voice acting is very well done, and they have all the sound effects, and it really kind of draws you in.
Yeah, it's almost like an audio drama more than an audio book. You know what I mean? It's like something they play on the radio back in the 60s or something.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they always have very good voice actors, and they even do a good job at doing different voices, like the same actor doing different voices for different characters. So
yeah.
The last audiobook I listened to was a World of Warcraft one, the one that came out before Battle for Azeroth, Nick.
Yeah. Yep.
And it was one person reading it, and he was like, he would change his voice to
yeah.
Sylvanas. I was like, oh god, it's so bad.
Some of
Or
them
the
are
other-
bad, but
yeah.
I feel like the Star Wars ones do it the best.
Like, pew 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 pew.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm there.
This is so realistic. That's awesome. So I'll start with you for this one, Chad, after we read trash cans. Sorry, I will always refer to him as trash can just because of Valheim.
That's funny.
But the next question was favorite Star Wars scene or moment. I think my favorite scene from any Star Wars film has to either be the scene in Rogue One where Jan and Cassian are standing on the beach as the Death Star was turned on Scarif, or the scene on Scarif where Chirrut uses the Force to hit the switch to send the Death Star plans to the Rebel fleet, and Baze Malbus's fearless charge to the aid of his injured friend. These scenes hit differently than any other scenes from the trilogies, in my opinion, conveying heavy emotion and fostering a connection to the characters on screen. Truly awesome bits of writing and brilliant acting performances. So, Chad, start with you. Favorite scene or moment from now this could be like across the board, not just from movies, but games, books, etc.
Yeah, I think that probably my number one, and this I think depends on how you experience this scene, and it's Luke finding out that Vader is his father. If you experience that knowing that, I don't know if it hit you as much as it hit me not knowing that. So that might just be me or the way you encountered it, but I remember that being like, still to this day, like one of the most shocking things I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah.
And then to kind of catch up to the Disney side of thing, I think that Vader scene at the end of Rogue One is just absolutely amazing. Another thing that I didn't see coming, the siren going off, everybody freaking out, the smoke coming up, and then they're all running for their lives. It's
massacre.
Just absolutely awesome.
Rebels. Yeah. It's great.
I mean, he didn't see it coming. I think they, kind of pulled it out of left field. And then the fact that it kind of butts right up to A New Hope, I thought was absolutely awesome.
That was great. What about you, Jordan?
I think I probably have two scenes I got to mention, and they're both climactic scenes to movies. One loses to the other one because of what it's surrounded by. So obviously the ending of the ending of each trilogy usually is flashing back and forth between different battles happening at once. So the runner-up for me would be the Darth Maul scene versus Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. Just that particular scene was amazing. The fact it was surrounded by Kid Anakin flying in the starfighter to the droid satellite base to destroy them, and the Gungan battle. Couldn't stand either of those, so it automatically knocks it out of there. But that's probably my favorite, still my favorite lightsaber battle out of all these, out of all the movies. But the actual favorite scene is probably the space battle or Return of the Jedi. Just because you get to see the commander class ships with just the standard single pilot ships. You get to see, the medical frigates are in the middle of the battle. You get to see it all, and not to mention when it'll go back and forth between the battle on Endor to Luke speaking with the Emperor and Vader and them fighting. the music that kicks in just as you see like like I always call it the Wedge shot, but you'll see like, you know, Wedge like destroy a TIE fighter and he flies through the explosion. That's like his signature move.
Yeah.
But you get to see really cool things like that. And that's where that's the battle that I fell in love with the twin ion engine interceptor, you know, the leader ship for the Empire. That whole space battle is easily my favorite. So
Man.
the only thing it lacks is Han not flying the Falcon. I love Lando; it's amazing, but you know, it would be really cool to see Lando or see Han, you know, fly that in a major space battle. That's more than just, you know, one saving the day thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. But this was a perfect segue because the next part of the comment was favorite Star Wars ship. He says the KSE Fire Spray, Jango Fett's, and then Boba Fett's signature ship, armed to the teeth, super maneuverable, awesome all-around ship. Runner-up would have to be the Millennium Falcon because smuggler ships are cool. So yeah, let's just go right back with you, Jordan. Do you have a favorite ship?
You know, it's probably really boring, but I love the X-wing.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
The X-wing is probably my kind of does everything you need to do. Runner up to that would probably be the TIE Interceptor. That's the only TIE fighter ship that ever made sense to me as far as the dynamics go.
Think cranks.
Yeah, but those are probably the two. I love the A-wing too. B-wing I don't like a whole lot. I like how it, you know, but it's so.
What about you, Nick? I know you have to have a favorite ship.
Man, you know, I really like the Republic gunship as it's shown back here.
A troop carrier, right? Is that the
the LAAT?
Point it out.
Right there. Yeah, right
there. Okay.
Nice. Just because I'm a huge fan of just like the Clone Wars, and it was just to me just such a very signature ship when, you know, episode 2 came out and those things just come flying in, you know, they're jumping off of them, they're just loaded with random weapons, and you know, they're like helicopters basically for the clone army. And they just wreak havoc on the droid army and the utility of them. So I've always just really liked that as a craft, not so much a ship.
Do those ships ever through the Lord go to space ever? Like the snow speeders, are they only like just terrestrial ships, or they ever go into
the LAAT here? They do travel from like the Venator class Star Destroyers to like the planet surface and stuff like that. So they're not purely in atmosphere.
Okay, it's like the Colonial Space Marines dropship. Then it's cool.
Yeah, and in the original Battlefront games, you can fly them in space effectively.
Oh, so, I'd open the doors.
Yeah. Oh yeah, right.
In space. This is control the windows. Sorry.
Yeah. Dang it! I forgot to put the locks on. Chad,
don't hit that.
Favorite ship.
Yeah, so I kind of touched on it earlier. My favorite ship's the Outrider, which is Dash Rendar's ship in Shadow of the Empire. It's kind of like a miniature. I don't want to say miniature because I don't know exactly how it sizes up to the Millennium Falcon, but it's got Millennium Falcon aesthetics to it. But
right.
I really, really, really loved the TIE Interceptor when I was a kid because it was the only TIE fighter toy that I had. So I became like in love with it. And then when I saw that Kylo Ren in Rise of Skywalker kind of had a TIE Interceptor looking ship, I was super amped about it. And yeah, it was just it was super cool to see that. And it'll always be my favorite TIE. I think the other one's kind of lame looking, if I'm being honest.
Kylo's is like the Cadillac of the Interceptor.
It is.
That thing's like loaded. It's very flashy too. You know, it's very Kylo.
He's got the red pinstripe and probably leather seats and Sirius
it's like carbon
XM
fiber, and he's got all the latest materials. Dude's diva.
I think mine would probably have to be the Ghost, but that's just because I'm a Rebels fanboy.
Yeah.
His next little blurb here, we have 3 more still of
he answered all my questions.
Jefe de Stonks here. He was a busy man. I wasn't kidding. He wrote a novel. Like, it's massive, but I love it. So good. Favorite Star Wars planet. Tatooine is the most symbolic, it's most recognizable, and most important planet to the plot of Star Wars as a whole. Without it, there isn't a Star Wars, pod racing, Jabba the Hutt, Anakin's birthplace, crate dragons, Jawas, Tusken Raiders, frying womp rats, the T-16 Skyhopper, Mos Eisley spaceport. First time seeing a lightsaber in the OG trilogy. There's too much to list. Well, I mean, you listed a ton, so the fact that there's more is a little frightening. But do you guys have a favorite planet? Of course you do, because you're Star Wars fans. I don't really, because I'm a mere baby infant fan. But yeah, Nick, let's start with you. I know you probably got to have an interesting one.
It's tough. It really is tough. I mean, I do like Kashyyyk a lot. It's
that is a good one.
Kashyyyk's a solid planet, and I think one thing, I think it's not anything about it really from the movies because it isn't shown a lot in the movies. It's referenced a lot, but as like a tertiary other media, games, books, it's in there a lot, and they do a lot to try to build out that planet, and I enjoyed every time they like touch on that. And Republic Commando takes place there, partly at least, and then obviously Fallen Order.
Yeah, it's beautiful in Fallen Order.
Yeah, and I think that's why it just has so much utility they've given it outside of the movies.
What about you, Chad?
I've always been kind of drawn to Coruscant, and I think it's just, I don't know if it's like in the prequels and Clone Wars, this kind of got like a cyberpunky look to it, with the neon lights and everything. And I love seeing any story that's really told in like the slums, in whatever level it is. It's just cool to see. And then I've always kind of liked, which is not shown a whole lot at all, but Camino, I thought was a really cool planet.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just an aesthetic thing, I think, again, for me. Just the rain and the battle that takes place there, I thought was kind of cool. So,
Jordan?
Not exactly how they portrayed it in the movie, I suppose, but more in the books. Coruscant is probably one of my favorite planets. And other than that, it's probably Hoth. I love snow.
I love Hoth.
So,
Hoth's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Run up for me is Dathomir.
That's what I was going to pick. Dathomir is awesome.
Yeah.
That's just from my experience from Fallen Order.
It's cool on there for sure, yeah.
It's in the animated series too, Mike. Don't forget that.
It is. Oh, I did not forget. I love the animated series. As you've heard throughout this episode. Dathomir is a cool planet for sure. I'd love to see that explored more in a live action sense. I think would be super cool. Moving along, we have two more responses from our friend Mike here. And favorite era, Age of Rebellion, because it feels the most real life to me. Obviously not space travel, but the political commentary and issues faced by the rebellion and the struggle against the corrupted and heavily established galactic empire. Before we get into it, Mel agrees. Dathomir rules. Not surprising, as she is a lover of the Sith.
She's a fellow Night Sister.
Yes, exactly. Jordan, do you have a favorite era?
Honestly, and it goes back to me loving the classic stuff. Probably the Rebellion era. That's the
classic.
It's hard. It's unique because it's sometimes hard. It's easy to tell who the good guys and the bad guys are, but when you go into the Legacy series afterwards, you learn what the Empire or what the Emperor wanted to do with the Death Star and the threats they wanted to protect, the other planets from. You realize why he was kind of a crazy person by creating the Death Star. He wanted to create weapons to, stop the threats from outside their galaxy, and just protect everyone within it. But when that happens, it allows you to really look at the rebellion and be like, wow, these people are trying to, stop something that they don't understand the full scope of. It might be a little bit totalitarian and evil, but once they do stop it, when that threat shows up, they're like, oh, we could probably use a Death Star right about now. It's unique in that aspect. And not to mention, in this, as the story progresses, it's, the best type of leaders going into the Legacy series were established in that era. So
Right on, right on. Chad, do you have one?
Yeah, I mean, it's same as you guys. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't the Rebellion Age. So it's just where everything that I prefer takes place, like you guys said. But I am hopeful, kind of now with the Mandalorian, and I'm more hopeful of the New Republic because the New Republic stuff in the books back in the day, like the Legend stuff, always just kind of felt weird to me. I don't know why. I mean, there were a couple good ones out of it, but the story just, I don't know. It just, outside of like what was the trilogy of books that came out about, I'm slipping who's the blue dude that's in Rebels?
Thrawn.
Thrawn, yes. The Thrawn, outside of the Thrawn trilogy, I think it just seemed weird to me, but I like what the Mandalorian is doing in that age. So I'm a little hopeful for it.
What about you, Nick?
Nick's about to get his gunship and fly away from this conversation.
Yeah, exactly. No, and speaking of the gunship, it would be, I mean, I would call it, I will label it as the fall of the Jedi and the re-emergence of the Sith. So the entire prequel era.
Yes.
I just think it's mostly the very meta scope of what's happening, right? Why the Jedi are falling and losing grip over the galaxy that they've had for the past 1,000 years, their faults and like how they've screwed up, and the very slow play of the Sith, right? All the way back from Darth Bane saying the rule of two, fixing their faults, and then them basically perfecting and peaking in that whole era.
Yeah, the political era, right?
Yeah, the political era. It's very. I love the Machiavellian nature of that era. It's the political, the money, right? Because that's all like what Darth Plagueis the book is about. But it's a political thing. It's not just we have thousands of Jedi, a fancy temple, and all this very chauvinistic things. It's a lot more complicated than that, and they are really pulling the strings.
Yeah, behind the scenes. I think that's what makes the prequels kind of stand out. If that was removed from the prequels, they would be awful in my opinion. But I think it's the behind the scenes stuff, and then the kind of pinnacle in Revenge of the Sith is that topped the prequels for me. So as a whole, I'm all right with the prequels because of the way that movie panned out.
Yeah, so. and I don't know if this was just me, but when I watched The Phantom Menace, I did not appreciate that Palpatine was bad. But by the end of that movie, at the fire scene of Qui-Gon, when they're burying him or burning him, my dad's like, dude, that guy's like bad. And I'm like, really? Why? I was a lot younger, but then it turns out like, oh shit. Like, yeah. He is simultaneously the bad guy and the Supreme Chancellor. So
right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Nick that era is probably the most fascinating for me. But I would really, again, I'm not a big reader, so this could very well be explored in books and stuff. But I would love to see the birth of the Jedi and how the Force became, wieldable, I guess, if that's even a word, or how they figured out that they could be attuned to the Force and the creation of the Sith. And
you're going way back.
Yeah, so I don't know what era that would be a part of, if it even exists.
It's called Genesis. Padme's like, take it from me, the birth of a Jedi is not too cool.
Right.
Not a fan.
Not a fan. Unless you're Shmi and it just kind of happens.
There you go.
Yeah, I think I would like to see that explored in live action at least.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, because I think, did Disney announce something like that though?
I think
the High Republic, but I don't think it's the beginning. I think it's supposed to be like the pinnacle of the Jedi. I
think they're
golden age.
I think they're gonna try to, because from what I understand, there's comics that are setting up the High Republic, and in the comics, there's this archaeologist scientist character that the one series follows.
Oh, that's
cool. They're digging into way back, ancient prehistoric galaxy stuff. So they might try to loop in that.
There's a rumor there. Well, not a rumor. Taika Waititi is doing a Star Wars movie, I think. And I think it's either going to be High Republic times or, much earlier on. I don't remember that part, but I think that might be what you're thinking about, Chad.
Yeah, that might be it.
But moving on here, his last comment here, and it's something that you guys already answered. So we'll wrap up the Discord comment here, and then I just wanted to talk about one more thing with you guys before we have to say our goodbyes and wrap up the episode. But excuse me. Mike says, what does Star Wars mean to you, or how has it impacted your life? Star Wars started out as a cool movie to watch as a youngster, filled with futuristic gadgets and awesome space magic. As I grew older, I started to enjoy the saga in other ways, finding various meanings and lessons tied into the story. Watching the struggle of the rebels as they work tirelessly to overcome the opposition and provide a better sort of life to the inhabitants of the galaxy, very punk rock. Yeah, I think that kind of echoes, what we talked about when Mick and Casey were on earlier. Just these movies can mean so many different things, and they're so rewatchable and recyclable that, every time you watch it, it could like uncover something else to you, right? And I think that's what the magic is behind this story. Again, like we talked about with Tom when he was on, it's a very simple story, but it's very deep too. And I think there's a certain beauty in that, like, you're not sitting there scratching your head trying to figure out, like a Christopher Nolan movie, like you're not sitting
wasting your time
Tenet,
with WandaVision theories.
Yeah. Or like, is the whatever the top, the whatever from Inception is, did it fall over? I don't know. Nobody knows. No, exactly what's going on. But there are so many, like, there's just layer after layer after layer of message and lesson and morality and stuff that, I don't know, you discover something new every time you watch it. And I think that's the main beauty of this cinematic universe and, extended universe and games and books and comics and all that other stuff. But I don't know. I mean, I know we already asked you guys what Star Wars means to you and all that stuff, but do you have anything else to add here to his comment or anything?
I mean, talking about some of the characters in the background, like Boba Fett, like Wedge Antilles, this movie helped me pay attention to those background characters and care about them more rather than just the leading characters. I made the Colonial Marines dropship reference earlier to the gunship. That plays in this because you watch movies like Predator, and if you pay attention to the commandos on Dutch's team, like Poncho, Blaine, Mac, Dylan, you kind of care about these background characters a little bit more. Hawkins in particular too. You pay attention to who they are, and it's cool because when you like these characters, it's sad to see them get killed. Right? Mm-hmm. You care about them. Same thing with aliens. You have the Colonial Marines. You have the Dietrich, Wierzbowski, Hicks, Drake, Vasquez. All these characters that your average person will just kind of fly over and just wait to see Ripley again. But it's cool to care about those characters who are around the main characters, not just as supporting characters, because some of them die really, really quick, but I care enough to see like what are they, what paintings they have on their armor that kind of reference pop culture, like what comic book is Hawkins reading in Predator, Sergeant Rock a comic book. So stuff like that. I attribute to Star Wars for pulling me in and giving me that sense of attention to detail.
Right. Do you have anything else to add, Chad?
Yeah, I just want to go back to kind of what you said as far as you pick up different stuff every time you watch it. I think Star Wars is really what you put into it. And what I mean by that is you can get hours of entertainment out of the movies, outside of the movies. If you get on, like, I've been on Wikipedia and I've woken up like 8 hours later, like, what did I just do with my day?
Where are my pants?
You know what I mean? But it's just such a massive, you could just keep going page to page to page to page. And nothing has really captured my imagination like that until I guess kind of Game of Thrones got that itch on me a little bit, because it has a pretty detailed world and, past wars and all kinds of stuff you can dig into. But I think Star Wars is like the pinnacle of it. Like, if you want to just watch the movies and get a really cool sci-fi story, you can do that. If you really want to dive in and learn everything, it's there. You just have to do it, you know?
Right. Yeah, for sure. Those are both really great points. There was one last thing I wanted to run past you guys before we wrap up here, and that is fan films, like shorts that you might be able to find on YouTube, stuff like that. Have you guys dove into this like realm of the Star Wars universe and sought out any like fan shorts or anything like that on YouTube?
I know I've seen some, and it must not have been that good because I can't really think of any.
Yeah.
You know, one thing. This isn't obviously official, but there's a segment on YouTube done by Bat and the Sun. It's called Super Power Beatdown, and they take different pop culture characters and have them face each other. And in one, when they were first starting out, the budget wasn't really there for this one to make it really good, but they had Gandalf versus Darth Vader.
Nice.
Later on, they actually had Batman versus Darth Vader. They don't normally reuse the same characters a whole lot, but they did there. Batman gets reused, of course, too. But then they also did Darth Maul versus Spider-Man. And that was
That's cool.
Yeah, that was a really actually, you should watch that one, to be honest with you. You should watch that one.
Sounds pretty sweet.
And if you like Predator, watch Wolverine versus Predator.
Would you say that was called?
Super Power Beatdown.
Super Power Beatdown. Nice.
Yeah, they have like Nightwing versus Winter Soldier. They have tons of really fun stuff.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
Mike's about to lose a lot of time.
Yep.
Very much. But yeah, the thing that brought this to mind is there's a YouTuber out there, Star Wars Theory, which is a huge Star Wars channel, probably the biggest Star Wars channel on YouTube. And 2 years ago, he put out a fan film that he made with a team of people called Shards of the Past, and it's focuses on Vader and Palpatine, and it is so good.
It's really good.
Super good. It's 16 minutes long. The production value is amazing, and it's a very, very cool story. And I think he had planned, there's like a bunch of videos that he made after this first episode of like legal stuff that he went through with Lucasfilm, and like he tried to,
I think I did hear about this.
Yeah, he tried to like just crowdsource money, not to like make money, but to just like pay for a production, because it cost him like hundreds of thousands of dollars to make.
Oh wow.
And they were like, no, you can't do that. And there was like this huge legal thing, and like that he couldn't monetize the video. But anyways, you can look all that stuff up. But
what's it called?
It's called Shards of the Past.
Okay.
And if you just search Star Wars Theory Vader, it's like the first thing that pops up. Maybe we can put this as a link in our episode description, Nick. Something like that.
I mean,
Or
it's really
in the Discord or something.
If I remember correctly, it like at least it starts off with really addressing how Vader feels from like within his suit, and like the trauma that the Emperor still puts upon him.
It's
like just
so
mind
good.
games, games, and just like tormenting him.
Yeah.
Still.
That's cool though, because it's never really dove into very deeply. So
yeah. And he had planned, I forget how many episodes, but he had a set amount of episodes he wanted to do.
He got two out, I think. There's
he
two.
He has one. He has like the trailer for the second one that came out 4 months ago, and he still is planning on releasing it. But that the Vader episode 2 is titled Mace Windu Returns.
Yes.
So the trailer is like 3 minutes long,
back, mother.
and it's so good. I highly recommend checking. I mean, his channel just in general, if you love Star Wars, is a great channel to explore. Like so many good things on there. But those fan films that he made were amazing. And then Nick, I believe you sent me one about some clone troopers in Coruscant or something.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you remember what it was called exactly? Like, I wasn't planning on talking about this, so I didn't. Here it is. Shadow of the Republic.
Yeah. So it's like some clone troopers that are sent on like a assassin mission by a senator or something, or
yeah,
it's like a recovery mission, but it goes a little south, a little dark.
Yeah, it's only
pretty
like
good.
6 minutes long. It's on a channel called Cinematic Captures, and they have probably like 4 or 5 Star Wars shorts, but they're all super good too. But I was just wondering if maybe this is an avenue you guys have explored just to, scratch the Star Wars itch when you don't have new IPs and stuff.
I think I've watched like one and it was really, really bad. But anytime that I'm like trying to scratch that itch on YouTube, I always go to Star Wars Explained, which is a bunch of like short lore videos. I think they're really well done. And I think the guy you're talking about has some of those videos too. So if you're like,
I wouldn't be shocked. Yeah.
The best short fan made one is the Stormtroopers on Tatooine as cops parody. It's so good because it ties into the movie. So like they show up to the ranch or like Luke's uncle's house, and like they show what happened as far as how they got like burned.
Oh really?
Great.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, we'll link all these in the episode description, and then
Please do.
Post them. We'll also post them in Discord. So it's another incentive. Get in Discord. Join our Discord. What are you doing with your life? But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up our little segment we had planned for you guys. So thank you guys so much for coming on and spending your evening with us chatting about Star Wars. Chad, you want to plug your stuff real quick?
Yeah, so I plug my stuff real quick.
You can't take Jordan anywhere.
I'm a child, I can't help it.
So I do a podcast with 2 other guys called That's Strange. We talk about everything that's weird, strange, controversial, or makes you think. And you can find us at thatstrange.net or on all popular podcast platforms.
Yes.
Platforms. There we go.
There you go. And you're still writing your video game articles, yes?
Yes, I am writing for Downright Creepy, which is a website that's all sci-fi and horror stuff. So if you're into that kind of thing, I am getting ready to write my first review, which is going to be Returnal, which is a new PS5 game that's coming out in 40 minutes. So,
nice. Well, that, and then you can always catch them on our What's Playing episodes. The second week, second episode of every month, which I believe is coming up soon. So right around there,
like next week, I think.
Yes.
Oh yes. Oh yeah, it is actually. I got some gaming to do.
You do,
dude. I really do too.
Oh no,
been stuck on Valheim. I can't help
Mike's
it.
been so distracted. I keep reminding him.
Yes. What's up, show boys? Thank you. Funny science fiction.
Chad, I'm trying to get them to play Phasmophobia with me, actually.
Oh, yeah, there you go. So they're never going to get through this.
No.
That's the scariest game I've ever played.
I got to do it. I will be prepared for our next episode. And then one day, Jordan, I will play Phasmophobia with you. It'll be a blast.
It's a good time.
But yeah, Jordan, I know you're out there spouting amazing crypto knowledge on the Twitters. Would you want to pass that handle out, or do you have anything to plug?
I don't. Everyone's kind of anonymous on the crypto Twitter handles. To be honest with you,
don't give it out.
If you know me and then you see it, you'd be like, "Oh, that makes sense." But
just know he's out there.
It really does.
It's a fun Telegram you can join. Fun information.
Yeah.
There you go. But yeah, thanks guys so much. It was a pleasure having you, and thank you for being a part of a historic episode for Showboys.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thanks for having us.
We'll talk to you guys later. Nick, bro,
what's up?
That was an episode.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
Funny Science Fiction Podcast says, "Sorry, I missed the Star Wars chat. Can't wait to watch the replay." Well, lucky for you, this will be releasing on Monday. Or if you're a member of our Discord, you will have access to the unlisted video immediately after we end the stream. So if you're not a member of the Discord, jump in there. Otherwise, you can catch this Monday. And we thank you for tuning in. Better late than never, I say.
That's right. It was good. It was fun. Tons of fun.
That was a blast of an episode. Thank you everyone who jumped in, all of our guests, Chad, Jordan, Mel, Tom, Mick, Casey. It was so cool to, hear all these different perspectives on Star Wars and how it's impacted, all these people's lives, and everyone had a different answer. And it was just really cool to see the impact that a set of movies or stories, in general, or characters can have just on, someone's life. But yeah, I believe we've talked too much tonight.
We have celebrated Star Wars, I would say.
We have. So to wrap up the episode, I'm just going to remind you guys again, join our Discord. There's lots of fun stuff, amazing conversations happening in there all the time. Mel, she's a member of our Discord, always, contributing amazing conversations. We have our Answer the Boys question every week, getting your input and feedback and thoughts and opinions on our topic of the week. And then we read the comments on the show and talk about them. Discord is the easiest and best way to interact with us as well as other listeners of the show. And yeah, it's just a great place to be. So join our Discord. You can find our Discord and all of our other social media and podcasting platform links on linktr.ee/showboyspodcast. And if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're on the live stream right now, if you're watching this Monday on YouTube, or if you're listening to this on your favorite audio platform, please consider subscribing, liking, rating, reviewing, leaving a comment, letting us know what you thought. All those things help us grow tremendously, and we are very grateful, first off, that you chose to listen or stop by the live stream. Thank you to Mel for chiming in the comments, as well as Funny Science Fiction Podcast. It means a lot. And to all of you who answered our question in Discord, Fortress Tiberius, the old Jefe de Stonks, Tom, Mel, thank you so much. It means a lot. And your contribution to the show is very much appreciated. Nick, would you like to plug the Bad Batch companion series one last time before we get out of here?
I certainly would. Starting this Sunday will be the pre-episode to our companion series following the Bad Batch with your boy Mikey L and myself. And it's going to be a good time. We're going to kind of talk about the Bad Batch, set it up, get a feel for how this companion series is going to go. And then we are going to tear into every episode that releases on the Bad Batch all summer long, every Sunday at 9 p.m. live, everywhere.
Yes.
Everywhere.
I am super excited for that. And from all the feedback that I've heard about our companion series, they seem to be liked by the listeners. So if you're looking for that extra depth, the extra analysis, the over-the-top speculation on shows that you love, check out the companion series. The Bad Batch should be a good one. Nick is super knowledgeable about Star Wars, so I'm excited to learn more about the set of clones here and all the craziness that ensues. And it looks like Funny Science Fiction is a big fan of the Bad Batch. Heavy breathing. Yes, I agree with you there, sir.
70-minute premiere on Tuesday. Be ready.
It's coming soon.
Be ready.
And the pre-show is always fun to just kind of get hyped for the upcoming series. So make sure you tune in to that Sunday night, 9 p.m. right here on our YouTube. And for everything else, jump in our Discord. Otherwise, thank you for tuning in tonight. And we will see you Sunday, hopefully. Have a wonderful evening. Goodbye.
May the 4th be with you.